Koski. I work at the Ilta-Sanomat development team with the mobile apps. And my role is more a product owner.
Hello, I'm Antti from Futurize. I've been working like 5 years here for Ilta-Sanomat. I'm a full stack developer. I've been involved in building these hybrid apps from the beginning.
All right, so if we go to the Ilta-Sanomat news apps, so they are the most downloaded news apps in Finland. We have them available for all the platforms, for Android, iOS, and also Windows. All our development is focusing on Android and iOS, and the Windows app is in maintenance mode. We still have a few tens of thousands of users there, but I guess the platform will be completely dead within a year of Windows phones. The app usage or apps has grown tremendously during the last few years. The growth lately has been mostly on Android. And if we dive into the hybrid apps, with the hybrid apps, what we mean with hybrid is that we are using web views, which basically means that we have the browser inside the app to show content and features instead of doing that natively. In our app, the web view is used for showing the content, and then the top part and the bottom part of the app and many other things are native code. Our project on moving from native apps to hybrid apps has been a multi-year project. So we decided to do it first on iOS because we had less users on iOS and we wanted to try it out on one platform before doing it completely on all the platforms. We made prototypes also for Android and Windows, but iOS was the one that we started with. And we rolled out the first version of the hybrid app on iOS in December 2016. And this spring, we started the rollout for Android users. So currently 20% of the Android users get the hybrid app, and we will gradually increase that during the next few weeks. The hybrid apps, they look very similar to what the user will see on the website. So the content has the same design on both the apps and the website. What is new for the user is in the hybrid apps is that when we did things natively in the old apps, we only supported the front page. We had section pages, article pages, but most of the rest of the site was not available through the app, and we have lots of other content as well. And now when we do it as a hybrid app, we can move almost the full site to be available from the app. So now the users can search for recipes, they can get the tag pages in the car section, they can look at the cartoons, and we also have a new menu where you can access all the content and see different pages and sections that we have. So I have a short video that shows the app.
Ilta-Sanomien sovelluksesta saat tuoreimmat uutiset vuorokauden ympäri. Voit pyyhkäistä kätevästi uutisesta toiseen ja jakaa kiinnostavan uutisen nopeasti. Löydät helposti tuoreimmat ja luetuimmat uutiset. Sovelluksesta löytyy myös My Style ja paljon muuta. Taloussanomista löydät aina tuoreimmat talousuutiset. Ja pörssiosaston hakutoiminnolla voit helposti etsiä osakkeita, rahastoja ja indeksejä. Voit lisätä kätevän uutiswidgetin laitteeseesi. Ja tilaajana pääset lukemaan myös kaikki digilehdet. Uutisilmoitukset tilaamalla saat heti tiedon, kun tapahtuu. Ilta-Sanomat. Avaa silmäsi.
So why did we go to hybrid apps? So we had a bunch of different problems that we tried to solve with this. So like you mentioned, we had the problem that we had to develop every feature multiple times. We had 4 platforms with website and 3 different mobile platforms when we started this project. And we wanted to reduce the time it took to develop one new feature. Also, when we did it this way, it took much longer time to get a new feature out on the app, so they were second-class citizen. And also there was the problem that it takes some time to get the app updated through the App Store, and not all users update their apps. And we publish over 200 articles each day, and our editors, they usually like to add a lot of different features to the articles to make them more interesting. So we have a lot of different embeds in the article body texts. We have different graphs, we have third-party videos, and also live coverage. And the problem with this was that the old native apps, they editors found a new type of content that they wanted to embed in the article, then that didn't work very well. And the users ended up reading articles that had a link that there should be something here, but because you have an app, please click here so that you will see the content. That wasn't very optimal as a user experience. So the user was directed from the app to the browser instead. Also, we have very limited options to configure what will be shown in the app and what kind of ads and different things from the backend side. So we needed also to update the app every time we wanted to make some changes to this. So we had a few goals for the project to move to the hybrid apps. So we wanted to develop once and then use the same feature on the website and also in the apps. We wanted to have shorter time to market, not wait for the App Store cycle, to be able to update instantly when we launched some feature also for the apps. And the editors wanted the content to look the same on the site and in the apps. That makes it, well, the editors are happy when they can be sure that when they publish an article that has these widgets and these images, videos, that it works exactly the same for all the readers. So if something is shown differently in the apps, then that is not an optimal user experience. The editors cannot be sure that it works. And then we wanted a lot of flexibility in how we can configure what is shown on the pages from the backend side. And for the app team, we had with the old native apps, we had spent a lot of time doing native code, trying to present the editorial content exactly the same as on the web. And instead of doing that, using time for that, we wanted to focus more on making a great app experience. All right, it's your turn.
Yes, I will quickly go to the technical aspects of the IS hybrid apps. To meet the goals that Nicklas just described, we basically had to build the app to be as close to the web as possible. And our approach is not the most traditional approach for building a hybrid app. The traditional approach is usually around building a JavaScript single-page app, putting it in a PhoneGap container, a single web view, something like that. There's very little native there. Whereas in our approach, we have multiple web views, we have much native still to control all that, and we have server rendered HTML. We don't use that much JavaScript. We have some JavaScript functionalities, but mostly we just send pre-rendered HTML from the server and let the app to handle the web views to display that. Compared to the old apps that we had on Ilta-Sanomat, they were based on a JSON API. There was a lot of logic in the apps themselves to control how everything is shown, how the layouts are done. Everything was implemented in all those three applications for three platforms. In our hybrid model, we serve the HTML, we serve some JSON to describe the overall structure of the application, what kind of different sections we have there, and some like metadata for specific views. This brings a lot of control to the backend. So instead of having it hard-coded on the apps, we now have all the control on the backend side. That said, there's still lots and lots of things that are done natively. As I said, we have like multiple web views, and we are animating and transitioning between them like natively, and that allows us fairly smooth transitions, fairly smooth interface, and the actual content is still in a web view. So for example, you can swipe between the different views, and we use like navigation stack for the articles. So you can quickly go back to the previous level, and all this is handled natively. And in addition to the basic user flow, we also do things like caching and sharing natively. So there's quite a lot of native code involved. Then quickly about the backend side of things. So we do have a separate backend for the hybrid apps and the website, and then we have the old backend for the native apps. We have some like content API and a bunch of microservices to handle stuff like authentication and commenting and those. Then we have a tool to control the site structure, and that also affects the application structure. So the editors are provided tools to manage the overall structure of the site and what is being shown in each view. And then we have the actual editorial system where they produce the articles. But the hybrid apps and the site actually share quite a lot of code in the backend side. And most importantly, we share all the HTML templates and styles related to those. We happen to have quite a big bunch of different elements and templates and stuff like that. So that's now shared for both. And kind of introducing this hybrid app model kind of introduced a new way of working for the mobile app development as well. Like previously, the mobile app guys could work quite a lot on their own. They could implement the features from end to end on their own native code. Whereas now we must work very closely together with the web team. And this also introduces some challenges because the teams are still kind of separate and they have their own roadmaps. It requires quite a lot of coordination between teams to get the things out. But the good thing is that the app developers can make small changes to the backend too. I hope they would make some even more changes to the backend, but my opinion is that the ideal situation is that the one developer can figure out what is the right place to make the change. If it's the native code or the backend code. And well, this all allows us introduce new features more quickly to both site and the apps. And one case example was the live articles that are based on the WebSockets and update live, and they were released to the apps with no native development needed at all, simultaneously with the site. And mainly the whole implementation is shared. On the other hand, the shared code can make things quite complex as well. We have had a lot of challenges because the backend turned out fairly complex because of all this sharing of the code. Also, like developing features to meet both the application side and backend side is kind of complex. And I guess we have some more learnings.
Okay, more learnings. So pretty soon when we launched the app, we discovered that so when we launched the iOS app, the amount of page views dramatically decreased, and we started wondering what could have caused this. So we had a few ideas what could be wrong. Maybe it's the analytics. We had some cases where the analytics showed us completely wrong numbers, and we didn't actually know what was going on. Maybe the app was used in a completely different way than the old app. Maybe the users don't like the app. The concept could be wrong. Or then we have some performance issues with the devices. So we started optimizing the app to address these issues. And what we did, that if you compare with the old app, when you launched the app, the front page was loaded, including all the articles that were on the front page. So when the user tapped on the headline, then the article was instantly opened. And in the hybrid app, that didn't happen quite like that. So when you opened the front page, we loaded the front page. And when you tapped on an article, then we started downloading the article. And then the user ended up watching loading indicators. And that wasn't quite as nice as earlier. So we started prefetching pages. So we prefetch the top 10 articles on the front page, and also some other popular pages like the list of most recent articles, to make it quicker to access those pages. That wasn't quite not enough. So when you open an article page and you want to swipe to the next article page, and the user expects that the article page is immediately available. But that doesn't happen unless you also pre-render the page. So we do that for the next page. Also on the front page, if you open the front page, you can swipe to the next section, and that is also pre-rendered. The pre-rendering also created some issues with the ads, because also the ads are pre-rendered, and the user may not even access the page at all that was pre-rendered. And when we pre-rendered the ads, then that triggered request to the ad server that thought that now the ad has been shown. So we had to change that logic so that we tell the ad server when the page comes to the screen, and then it's reported as an ad that has been shown. So we needed separate approaches for the low-end and high-end devices. So all this prefetching and pre-rendering in the background, that created the problems, made the problems even worse on the low-end devices. So low-end devices were a bit sluggish without this, but they were really slow when we added this. And we got a lot of negative feedback from the low-end users that this is not good. So we had to actually remove all this prefetching and pre-rendering from the low-end devices, and that made the users much happier there. But for the high-end devices, this worked really well and made the app feel much faster. So after all this, our page page views returned quickly back to the normal levels. So the hybrid apps, they require a lot more from the devices. So they work really well on the modern high-end devices. But when you compare the native app and the hybrid app on a low-end device, there is a significant difference in how quick it's to use the app and how quickly it loads pages. So when we launched the iOS app, we wanted to support as many devices as possible with the new hybrid app. And that means that we are still supporting iPhone 4S and iPad 2 from 2011 with our current app. And if you look at the performance benchmarks and compare those devices to the best devices that we have today, then there's a huge difference. And so now you could say that maybe that was not a good idea to try to support as many devices as possible. Maybe we should have skipped the support for the older devices and only focused on the better devices, because the project took some time, and when you look at what devices are in use now, then it's a really small amount of those older devices on the iOS app. On the Android side, we have a bit different situation. So aim for Android 5.0 to be the minimum requirement, but we had to drop that, and now you will get the new app if you have Android 5.1. So that means that 9% of the users of our old native app will not get the new hybrid app, and we will keep offering the old app to those users for some time. On Android, we also expected that the web view would behave like the browser. At least that was what Google promised, that this would be the case. And when we implemented the web view in the app, then that wasn't really like that. So we had a lot of performance issues with the web view. And the JavaScripts were a big part of that problem. So if you had lots of data and we're doing stuff in that data to show it, and use JavaScript for that, then that's created lots of problems. So if you have some widget, at least lots of different data points, that widget may not work at all, or only partly. So we had to really optimize a lot of JavaScripts, and we still have some work to do there. We also removed some parts of the HTML on the page when you compare it to the site, some like less important parts of the page to make the rendering of the HTML quicker. And we had also to limit the number of simultaneous web views that were used in the app. All right, some more.
Yeah, related to the previous, we kind of learned some lessons that when not to use a web view hybrid app or hybrid approach. One case are these kind of features like our facsimiles, the PDF papers, where the user can download the paper, and we need to keep track that what papers he or she has downloaded, what's the download status, if there was an error on the download, or like stuff like that. So it's not dynamic, it's not static content, it's more like a dynamic feature. And these kind of features quite often might become like ping pong between the native and the web view. And I think the main learning there is that we should avoid these kind of ping pong features, and either do feature fully natively or fully in the web view. If you mix a lot, then it will be a hassle. Another case where we have the same issue is the article commenting, where there's multiple views that are controlled natively, and there's a state that needs to be transferred all the way. And one thing I've been thinking is that this is something that we would also consider in the design phase, because, for example, here we have the send button on the top bar in the native part, and that's, I mean, if it would be inside the web view, it would be like 10 times simpler to implement. So small things in the design can also affect the complexity.
All right, so 20% of the users currently get the new Android hybrid app. If you don't have it yet, you can become a beta tester and get the app. So easiest is to go to the App Store, the Play Store, search for iOS, and then open the app page. And there is a box where you can tap on the I'm in the beta tester program. All right, that's all for us now.